All right. Welcome back to Muttering Pines. It's been a while, a year, I think, actually. But fear no longer. We've returned. Lots has happened. It's been so long. People got busy. But we're back. There's some big changes. We'll get into that in a minute. This episode is just going to be kind of an intro into the season. I'm going to ramble a little bit and start just kind of getting into what to expect for the rest of, I guess this would be season 3 of Muttering Pines. And I also want to talk about the hunt wasn't much of a hunt. The hunt we did this year and a project I worked on. But first, I guess we should address the big changes, right, guys? Oh, they're not here. That's the big changes. So due to, personal life and work schedules and priorities and timing, Matt and Scott will no longer be hosting Muttering Pines. I'm going to take it on solo, though. I'm going to try and keep it up. Do it myself. Fuck it. Fuck them. They're dead to me now. Are they? Yeah, they're dead to me. But like I said, I'm going to take it on. It's going to be a bit different. So this is actually, I'm going to use this as an opportunity to learn how to speak fucking English, to refocus. We're going to focus a lot more on like things I'm interested in, what I want to learn about. I want to take the opportunity to dive deeper into some of the topics and hopefully some of the experts in that topic's field. So I appreciate all the listeners, the listener, the one, the two at best, that have still watching or still listening. Stick with it. I'm going to do my best. And, I hope you continue to join me on Muttering Pines as we fumble through the forest of know-how. All right. So one thing that's not going to change is talking about what we're drinking. I'm actually going to change it a little bit, but every episode I'm going to start with a new cocktail. So I'll explain how that's made. I'll throw it up on Instagram and the website. Not that anybody goes there. But if you do, there's also some updated merch on the website. You should go buy it. If it's not for you, it's for someone else, so buy it anyway and give it away. Yeah. But we might as well get started with what I'm drinking. So today's cocktail is, I haven't even named it yet, actually. It's kind of like a spiced, dark and stormy thing. That's not the real name. We'll get there. But what's in it? Well, you start with a glass. You're going to fill it with ice. And then you're going to add spiced rum, hot apple cider, or cold apple cider. Depends if you want a cold drink, or I guess with the ice, it'd be a medium drink. Apple cider. And then you're going to add a little bit of ginger ale. You can just top it up with a bit of ginger ale and lemon juice. You can drain the lemon. You can squeeze the juice out of the lemon, or you can use it out of a bottle like I did. I don't care. And you won't taste the difference either. Garnish with a slice of lemon. Bang a cinnamon stick in there, and you've got yourself a what do I call it? A spiced apple, dark and stormy. A stormy spiced apple. You've got yourself a stormy spiced apple. Cheers. Delightful. Quick tidbit. If it's the festive season, you can use the cranberry ginger ale, and it's even better. Right on. So the first thing I want to do today on this episode is I want to talk about the hunt that Matt and I did on the weekend. Matt is not dead. He's just dead to me. But somehow he was still there. It was kind of our last hunt. It was our last hunt. It was good. We did it up at the property. So, it was fine. I say it's good. It was fine. It was fun. I was very disappointed, and there were some mistakes, and I'll get into those. But the interesting thing was leading up to this, the whole week leading up to this last weekend, my game cameras out there were blowing up, like exploding. Literally, they blew up and killed all the deer. At least that's what it felt like. So I was getting picture after picture after picture of, 4 points, 3 points. There was a 5 point on there, like bucks, more than one buck. So we got really excited. There's even some muley showed up. So we get there, we drive out Friday, we pull in, we got about an hour and a half till sunset. So we're going to do our last afternoon, evening hunt. So we get out there, stop at the gate so we don't bust anything driving in, gear up, walk in. It's cold. It's already minus 16, I think. So we walk in, we kind of split up. I take the top of the field and I'm standing there and I'm looking at the field and calling, threw out some grunt calls. Nothing much has happened. Not hearing anything, not getting any updates from Matt. It's been about half an hour. And I'm just sort of standing there glassing with my eyes. And then all of a sudden across the field, about halfway down, this doe comes busting out of the woods and headed straight across the field. And she's moving quite fast. And I was like, oh shit, okay, there's going to be a buck behind her. So I grabbed my gun and sure enough, buck comes running out right after her. And the distance here across the field is nothing crazy. It's 60 meters at best. So a deer can clear that in seconds. And by the time I've got my gun up and I got a bead on this buck, he is into the woods. So I was able to see he was a 4 point, and just as I wanted to squeeze the trigger, he's behind the trees. So missed opportunity there. Not a big deal. I could have been more ready, maybe, but he was going pretty quick. I stalk in after them. They're gone. I can't find them. I thought maybe he had got her down and bedded her down, or was kind of doing his thing. No, they were they were long gone. So that's fine. Not a big deal. We hunted around the property, didn't see much, headed back inside, and that was the night. We got a shit ton of snow overnight. Not a shit ton, but we got 4, 5, 6 inches, I think, probably by noon the next day. So we're out. We get up. We get out for first light. Nothing has come across the camera since we got there. Nothing at all. Super unusual. So that was a little worrying. We start walking around. We're at least we'll know there's so much new snow. We'll see all the fresh prints from I don't know, 3 a.m. onwards. And we hunt pretty hard. So we cover most of the trails. We sit and we rattle and we call and we get cold. Nothing happens. We move on. I think we saw all day maybe 3 fresh tracks. Maybe. And one of them we're pretty sure was the muley deer. So not even on the table, didn't have a tag for him. So we're pretty discouraged, and it's about mid-afternoon. And I said, listen, I think we should sit on the field come 3 o'clock. So just like yesterday. And I'm willing to bet, I bet you something's going to come into the field. So we make our way back and we sit down, and then so the field is pretty close to the cabin. So I don't have a blind set up there or anything. We found a spot that we're we can see the whole field here. We can even see up to the top of the road if we need to. So we just pulled the truck in, kind of nestled it against the tree line there. Didn't leave it running, but we sat inside to get out of the cold. Had all our stuff ready. Doors were half cocked, ready to go if we needed to get out. And we're sitting there, we're watching. When I got in, and here's where the mistake was. When I got in, it was still snowing. So there was snow on my scope. I blew it off. I tucked it into the truck with me. I'm ready to go. And within about 40 minutes, this buck walks out and stops. And we're talking 100, 150 yards, meters, whatever you want to call it. Nothing crazy. He stops, turns broadside, and looks at the truck. I'm like, oh, shit. So I get out. I get my rifle up. My fucking scope is frozen over. So the condensation from us being in the truck, I didn't check it after I got in. I should have. Huge mistake. Frozen over. Can't see anything. So, God damn it. So I come down. I get my glove and I'm scrubbing the scope, and I get it back up, and I can see the deer started to run at this point. So he's figured us out. He's like, fuck this, I'm out of here. And so he starts heading off across the field. Again, he's only got like 60 yards before he's in the woods. So I get my scope up, still fucking frozen. So I yell, I call over to Matt. I'm like, I can't see shit. Take the shot. I'm scrubbing my scope again. I get it all cleared off. Just as I see him heading for the woods, Matt takes a shot. He misses. I get my scope up. It's clear enough, but by now he's dodged because he heard that gunshot, and he's torn into the woods. Gone. I followed after him. I saw him come out the other side. I saw where he came out the other side. Saw where he crossed the cut line. His strides were still huge. So he was gone. He was long gone. He flagged. He ran. Wasn't happening. Was not happening. Super disappointing. I was really disappointed that I never checked my scope. So, I mean, the lesson here is, I mean, make sure your gear's good. Like if you're going out in the snow and the rain, get a scope cover, like the flip top, and check it. Like if you're shoulder slinging your rifle, every once in a while, pull it down, blow the snow off, give it a scrub, look through the sight. You never know when a buck's going to pop out, and you can't fucking shoot it because you're blind. So I thought I'd share that little tidbit. Wasn't great. Wasn't thrilled about the whole thing. Lesson learned. That pretty much means my season's bust for this year. I'm done. I really wanted to get some meat in the freezer and some heads on the wall, kind of like Paul Bernardo, but it's not happening. And that's just how it goes sometimes. I will say it's kind of weird talking to myself, so I can't wait to get some guests on this season, because this is talking. It's like a crazy person, or at least, I guess if you answer yourself, you're a crazy person, right? Right. So before we get into the rest of the episode here, what I want to do is I want to have a little, maybe it's going to be a new segment. I don't know. I searched the internet. I found some things I wanted to talk about. So, we'll call this like the news, or what's news. I found this article about this guy in New Brunswick, and he had back in 2009 he bought himself a Honda Rincon ATV. That's great. Hondas are awesome. We've always said Hondas are awesome. I'm going to keep saying Hondas are awesome. It will just be me saying Hondas are awesome because those other guys have fucked off. So anyway, he buys this in 2009. And since then, the gist from the article and the interview is that he hasn't done much maintenance, no major overhauls. He's done some bushing, suspension, your typical run-of-the-mill stuff, but like no engine overhaul, nothing like that. To date, that guy has clocked 126,000 kilometers on his Honda Rincon. That is mind-blowing. So like 126,000. So when I'm shopping for an ATV, or when you're looking for an ATV and you look at the kilometers, like you're like 3,000, all right, 4 or 5, you're kind of like 6,000. You're like, all right, that's high. Wonder what the engine situation is going to be. This guy has 120,000 more than that. Insane. So I mean, buy a Honda. They're never going to break down, I guess, is the moral of that story. Bananas. $126,000 on a fucking quad. Makes me want to replace all mine with Hondas. I mean, I'm not gonna, but it makes me want to. And then the other thing I came across, it was just a term. It's kind of like it was on this TikTok video from this girl from Sheila, as they call it, from Australia. And she was talking about beer. And she used the term, depending how piss fit you are. piss fit. I want let that sink in, as in, how well can you handle your alcohol? I love it. I think Australian slang's the best. I'm going to use it from now on. And I want you, the nobody who's listening, to think about how piss fit you are. And if you're not, what are you doing about it? How are you going to remedy that? No one likes a sloppy drunk. So, oh, fuck, I almost dropped my drink. Right. What's happening this season? So, since we are going to be, I am alone drinking my disappointment in my friends away. I'm going to, I guess it'll be the royal we whenever I say that. I'm going to be focusing this season on a particular theme, and that is the theme of doing, like DIY, crafting, creating, to like make something, get better at it, to craft and to conquer. I'm always trying to do stuff with my hands. I love it. It's something that like deeply resonates with me, whether I'm trying to make stuff, designs on the computer, or I'm out here making a knife, or just fucking around, or trying to do shitty woodworking, kind of like the project we'll talk about here, foreshadowing. Yeah, it's something that really sits with me, and I want to focus this season on different types of hobbies and crafts. Why are they good for you? What does it take to get better at them? How do the people that are good at it get that good? And then I want to try and learn. Hopefully we can all learn. I don't learn well, especially from my mistakes, but maybe I'll learn something this year. It should be fun. It's going to be better than me rambling to myself, which is what I'm doing right now. I am figuring this out on my own, as we said, so I don't think there's going to be a set release schedule. The episodes are just going to happen as they happen. So stay tuned. They're going to be really irregular, not unlike my bowel movements. There'll be no warning, just, oh shit, there's an episode. So yeah, stay tuned. We're going to hopefully have some good guests, and we're going to talk about some cool shit and doing things with your hands, being a real man or woman or whatever. Yeah. So I want to talk about a project that I did. That's how we'll kick this season off. I'm sitting at it right now. A little backstory on this is I'm in my shop right now, and I was in here a month ago or so, and it was a mess. I'd leave things laying around, kids destroy it, everything. So I'm cleaning it up. I'm trying to tidy it up. I used to have like a big chair and a table, and then I had another table set up for like staining and stuff, and then I got another thing over here. And my wife came in and she was like, you got to streamline your space here and like figure it out. Is it a shop or is it a place for like hanging out and drinking? And I thought about it and I'm like, I can't give up either. It's both. It's a shop and it's somewhere for me to hang out and have some drinks with friends. It's like it's a shop bar. Well, not really. That's what I want it to be. And so she kind of was like, all right, goes away. Comes back 15 minutes later and says, I got it. I solved all your problems. She shows me these plans for what's called a drop-down Murphy bar. So that's what I made because my ADHD kicked in and I'm like, making that right now. Going to get my scraps of wood or go to Home Depot, which we'll talk about. So basically, it's a bar that looks like a cabinet. And when you fold the front down, that's your bar top. So if you're on YouTube, which nobody is, you can see right now, I'm sitting at it. It's got shelves, which is really nice. The interior of the cabinet's all shelves. So I can hold my bottles and my cups. I got some antlers because it wouldn't be a shop bar without antlers. I got this really resilient, totally real vine plant from China that's probably leaking lead paint on my walls. Yeah, it's just a great spot to do the podcast and to hang out with friends. So yeah, I looked up a bunch of different plans, found ones that I liked, and then deviated from them. And that's kind of where all my learnings came from. But I did do some research, and your typical bar height's about 42 inches. So that's perfect because if your legs are 42 inches and the legs actually fold into the front of the bar, so they swing out, and you're going to build a frame around those. So once you account for that, You're now looking at your bar top is going to be about 48 inches long, which is perfect. I had a 4 foot by 2 foot piece of pre-sanded birch that I was going to use for cornhole boards, but this is a way better use of it. So I started with that as my bar top. I grabbed a round over bit, put that on my router, went all the way around it. So I've got these nice rounded corners. And then I masked the very top, from the very top of that round off. I masked all around, and then I used a walnut gel stain. And I did a nice dark stain over the top, peeled the masking tape off. So I've got, it almost looks like it's inset a little bit. And then you've got these round corners that come out, all natural, the natural birch color. So that's really nice. I left the backside, which is the front of the cabinet, natural as well. And then I built a frame on that backside. So you flip it over and then you build a frame kind of like a shaker style cabinet. So you got your stiles and your rails. So I did that. I used 1x4. And then I built a frame inside of that, which is the legs that swing out. So I switched it up. So I did my rail all the way across the top, and then the stiles down from it for the frame. And then for the legs, my stiles went full length and my rail was in between the stiles. And then you put those on hinges and attach them to the top of the frame. And now that center frame, like when it's upright, your legs or your middle frame sits in there nice and nestled. And then when your bar top comes down, they swing out and they become the legs and the support. So I did that, and then I made my frame. So the plans I had found were they wanted the bar top to sit inside the cabinet. So it was like inset. So the edges of the cabinet were flush with the front of the front of the door, the front of the bar top. The problem there is so this bar top already is like 1.5 inches thick. And so you're going to lose 1.5 inches of shelving inside because you have to make room for the bar top to sit in there. So I didn't want that. So I made my cabinet the same size as my bar top, and it just sits on top like a normal lid. So it just lines up flush with the sides. So I did a 24-inch by 48-inch cabinet. I used 1x6, made it out of knotty pine. Side note, if you are going to Home Depot to buy like premium knotty pine, don't. It's shit. It's not premium. It's fucking garbage. Go somewhere better. Go to Windsor Plywood. Go to Black Forest Wood Products or wherever else, wherever you're from. Don't go to Home Depot. Their wood is trash. Spend the tiny bit extra money so you don't have to run it through the fucking planer and sander all the time, or for the whole time, just to get it half square. Anyway, so I built my frame. I put a 1x6 down the middle to split it in half, I guess, horizontally. Built my shelves, stained my shelves the same color as my bar top, so that walnut, and then left everything else natural. I have a backing plate, 2 backing plates across the back. I made out of 1x4s, and I just notched my sort of center divider out around it so they can screw into the wall. Funny story there. If you are measuring things, I suggest you measure them. So what I did is I had my stud finder out because I wanted to screw these into the studs. So I hit my first stud. I said, that's great. It's kind of where I want it. And then I kept moving. And I could tell I had gone well past 16 inches. So I just, like any normal sane man, I just made an assumption at that point. I was like, well, it's not 16. They're 20-inch centers. That's done. Easy. So I mapped out my 20-inch centers for my bolts to go into the wall. Yeah, it turns out my studs are 24-inch centers, which lines up with the very edges of my cabinet. So that didn't work out at all. I should have just fucking measured it. So I now have one side in studs, and then the other side I had to do wall anchors, which are the worst. I hate wall anchors. If anyone knows a better way to do wall anchors, let me know. I'm tired of fighting with them, buying 6 different types, and ending up with a loony-sized hole in my fucking drywall that I can't fill. Tirade aside. I built out. So once the cabinet was built out, I had the front built out. I was pretty much good to go. And then the only thing that I really ran into trouble after all that was with the hinges. So when I'd first looked at, because I'd found these plans, what I did is what I would typically do, typical man stuff, I say, is I looked at the plans once, maybe twice, thought to myself, I got it, never opened them up again. So in my mind, the plan still had that inset door, but it never registered. So I had the idea to have these big ornate hinges come up from the bottom and come out on the outside of the frame, and it would be, they'd go up the stiles. It'd be nice and cool looking and big and black, and then they would attach under the cabinet, which they would have. However, I changed the design. So because the cabinet was sitting on the outside now, or the cabinet door, the bar top was on the outside, there was not enough room for that bottom of the hinge to go underneath the cabinet itself. So I had to change it, and I put the nice fancy ornate part of the hinge under the cabinet where nobody can see it, which I think actually works out better from a structural standpoint, because you've got all that room to put in nice beefy nuts and screws into the bottom of your cabinet where no one can see it, and kind of like, because that's what's going to hold the support on the back end of your bar top. Like, your legs are going to support the front, the hinges are what's supporting the back. So having those into the bottom of the cabinet actually kind of made sense. And then I screwed the other end of the hinges to the top of the cabinet, because that's how it would line up. And it also allows the bar top, screw them to the top of the bar top. It also allows the bar top to sit slightly below the cabinet, as opposed to slightly above it. And this way it's not impeding you putting things into that bottom shelf at all. So in the end, I think it actually worked out better. I did have to notch the front of the cabinet frame out in order for those hinges to sink in a bit and sit flush when they were closed. But all in all, it worked out great. It's a great place to sit and have drinks. It hasn't broken or fallen down yet. And I've had some heavier guys here. I've had some dudes having drinks, and it's been good. I will say, like, in terms of lessons learned, aside from the whole measure once, cut thrice, if you think you know how hinges work, maybe you do. I thought that. They don't work that way. That's not how I envisioned them working in my mind is not how they actually went into practice. And I just ended up buying a lot of hinges, because the ones I was like, these are going to work. And then I get them home and I look and I'm like, nope, fuck that up. So that's cool. But that's the whole point of like doing things that are a little bit outside your comfort zone, is you get that learning. You get that feeling of like, actually, you didn't just do it because you could do it and it was easy. You did it and you learned something, and next time it's going to be better, and you're going to see some of those follies that you did last time, like preemptively. Like when you get used to building stuff like that, like Matt used to work in a wood shop, so he would have seen stuff like that right off the bat. I mean, if he was here, he's not, because he's fucked off like a dad who went to get milk one day. But you get that experience and you start to build on your skills. And I think that's what I like about doing stuff with your hands, is I think as good as you never get so good that you're not learning something and you can't expand and like try new things. So that's what I'm excited about for this season. Excited to chat with people. I'm still going to keep the quick fire trivia. Obviously not tonight, because that would be weird doing it to myself. But everything else is going to go more or less according to plan, I think. I'm excited for you guys to keep up with it with me, and appreciate everyone. And join me on this all new chapter of Muttering Pines. And as usual, keep on chooching. And I'm just going to leave you with the sounds of me finishing this delicious cocktail, because I wasn't drinking much. I was talking.